If you want proof that a full Android experience can be packed into a handset that manages to match serviceable hardware and solid design with a rock-bottom price, look no further than the latest from Sprint and ZTE. With a serviceable 5-megapixel camera, snappy processor, and Sprint ID features, this little guy has plenty to offer for an entry-level device. I'm Kevin Krause, this is Phandroid.com, and you're watching our video review of the ZTE Fury. The ZTE Fury is a compact smartphone with simplistic styling, but build quality hasn't been sacrificed. It features a 3.5-inch display with 320 by 480 resolution. It's also Gorilla Glass, so it can take a beating. Above the display we find the phone's earpiece, as well as a notification light, and below a row of 4 capacitive Android buttons, and you'll also see the phone's microphone. On the left side of the phone we see the phone's micro USB port and volume rocker. On the right we see the Fury's dedicated camera button. A metal trim wraps around at the top of the device where we'll see a 3.5mm headset jack and the power standby button. Around the rear of the device we find the Fury's 5-megapixel camera and LED flash. There's also a unique feature here, this little reflective metal square which acts as a mirror for taking vanity shots since there's no front-facing camera. The phone also gets a nice dotted texture for a little bit of style and extra grip. The back cover can be removed easily using an indent found on the bottom of the device. Inside you'll find a 1500 mAh battery and micro SD card slot. There's a 2GB card installed. Within the Fury lies a 1GHz Snapdragon processor, 512 MB of RAM, and 4GB of onboard storage. Combined with a relatively bare-bones Android build, the hardware offers plenty of speed and responsiveness. Powering up the Fury we find a basic Android 2.3 build without a whole lot of customization. You see it's very basic from the start. They haven't loaded up the home screens with much. You get Google's suite of mobile apps including Gmail and Maps and the like, as well as a few Sprint apps including Sprint Zone and Sprint ID. Back at the home screen you can actually pull up Sprint ID right from the main launcher. If you aren't familiar with Sprint ID, it's a service that allows you to better customize your device by downloading ID packs that include wallpapers, applications and games to tailor the device to various things and make it a more personalized experience. You can see there's games, schools, sports and fitness, so you can grab any of these packs. But the one thing to note is that once you install the pack, it doesn't actually include all of the games that it comes with. It'll have a shortcut link to go to the market and download that game. So it's not an immediate fix. You don't download, say, the games pack and automatically get Angry Birds and get whatever else is in it. So here I've loaded up the Android Basics ID pack and you'll just see it how it's changed the home screen a bit. It's added a couple more applications you can launch, Groupon, Words with Friends, Angry Birds, and Kindle. So these are the things in the Android Basic pack, what Sprint is considering must-have essential applications for the Android users. So probably a good place to start for someone who might pick up the ZTE Fury. With a basic 3G connection, the Fury isn't much of a powerhouse for media, but it does get by for web browsing and the like, and on a Wi-Fi connection it's definitely serviceable. The hardware makes browsing, you can see, smooth. We can just flick through the web page, do our pinch to zoom, very smooth. So it's a responsive experience, and you can see how Phandroid loads on a Wi-Fi connection. Again, on 3G, if you're used to 4G or a faster connection, it might be a little annoying waiting for that, but on Wi-Fi it works just fine for browsing the web, watching YouTube videos, streaming music from Google Play. They all work fine on Wi-Fi. 3G, again, you're going to get 3G speeds, but that's kind of getting what you're paying for there. So earlier we mentioned that the Fury actually does a pretty good job at taking photos. So we're looking at the camera app here. It's a 5-megapixel camera, and we'll get to see some of the images in a more in-depth later in the review. But just look at some of the features of the software of the camera. You can see it's actually pretty customizable. Looks a lot like the stock Android camera. You get plenty of exposure features, choosing megapixel sizes, picture quality, color effects, just various different levels of contrast and sharpness. You can also do your stored location, your white balance, and flash settings too. So plenty of settings. The camera itself, not the speediest shutter speed. If we hold it down to focus and take a picture, See, there's a bit of a delay there, but again, we're running Android 2.3, so we're a little bit at the mercy of the operating system as well as the hardware. All in all, the relatively stock Android experience is appreciated with the Fury, but it doesn't do much to add value to the handset. It's not a bad thing, but some users may be looking for just a little bit more out of the phone, out of the box. But with the Sprint ID packs and some customization on the right apps, you can definitely get a really cool Android experience with the Fury. For a phone priced below $25, you can't really complain that much about the ZTE Fury. It's quality hardware and a solid package and all the Android that we love. It would be a great phone for the first-time smartphone buyer or someone on a budget, and it's also probably a good buy for a younger user that might still be bundled to a family plan. For Android diehards and those looking for really powerful hardware, Sprint's got other options to choose from. You get what you're willing to pay for. But we can't fault the Fury for striking a balance between performance and price. I'm Kevin Krause with Phandroid.com. This has been the video review of the ZTE Fury. You can pick it up at Sprint now. Thanks for watching.